Right now at 5, Missouri opens trout season for anglers to enjoy. We take you to Neosho to see how they celebrate the start of trout season.
And we've still got our alert days today and tomorrow as we're watching heavy rain with flooding concerns. We're going to talk about all of that coming up.
And some future Eagle Scouts in Caney, Kansas partner up with the Caney Valley Historical Society to preserve and showcase historical equipment.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got a lot of weather to talk about today as we've got showers, thunderstorms, heavy rain, and flooding concerns here in the next few hours. So we have our alert days today and tomorrow for those flooding concerns later this evening into tomorrow. We still have flood watches, and we've had a couple of counties added. So we've got Delaware, Benton, McDonald, Newton, Berry, and Lawrence counties. These flood watches officially start this evening and run through noon tomorrow. We also are still watching the possibility of a strong storm or two. And as you can see, way down to the southeast, there's a very low-end tornado risk. Any stronger storms we see, the biggest threat would be some small hail and gusty winds. And as you can see, it's still roughly right along and south of I-44. So again, this is a fairly isolated threat for stronger storms, but it is possible. And here's the other reason for those flood warnings is we are talking about a lot of rainfall across the area. Everybody getting in on rain, everybody getting in on thunderstorms. But again, along and south of I-44, heavy rain expected. We're going to see those rain chances begin to pick up across the region as we head through the late morning and into the early afternoon. We might see a few scattered storms, and then as we go into later this evening, that's when our rain chances really begin to ramp up across the area. So let's take a look at all of that. We'll have those isolated showers, maybe some scattered thunderstorms late morning into the early afternoon, and then we get that pause before all of this activity late this evening starts to build in across the area and starts to bring us showers, thunderstorms, and some heavy rain. And we're still watching the possibility of some light snow early tomorrow morning. We're looking at maybe a dusting at best from that snow, but wouldn't be surprised if we saw a flake or two. We're also going to be dealing with gusty winds as we go through today and into tomorrow morning. These wind gusts 20, 30 miles an hour before they do eventually start to calm down. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line looks good. Right now in Joplin, we're sitting at 39, feels like 33 with a northeast breeze at 8. Across the region, it looks like this. Chilly, 36 Iola, 39 Pittsburgh, 43 Miami, 42 Neosho, and 39 in Carthage. So as we get our day started, we're going to be mostly cloudy. We're going to be breezy. Might start seeing a few isolated showers by late morning, and temperatures slowly climbing into the lower 50s. We'll have a complete look at your full forecast and the next several days here in just a few minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. 3 police officers are recovering from injuries following an overnight shooting that happened while a search warrant was being served. Standoff followed, and that finally came to an end. The Kansas City, Missouri Police Department stated the officers suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police knocked on the door and announced their presence. SWAT officers then attempted to enter the home but were shot at. The standoff ended around 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoon. One woman and a teen are hospitalized following a Wednesday morning shooting in Springdale, Arkansas. Authorities received a call of a woman banging on their door saying she had been shot in the arm. When officers arrived, they were told the alleged shooter was inside a car nearby. Authorities say when they inspected the car, there was a man lying in the car, and when asked to show his hands, he got up and pointed a weapon at one of the officers. They say that's when the officer shot the suspect in the head, who was a teen. He and the woman were both taken to the hospital, and police say the teen's injuries are life-threatening. Authorities in Galena, Kansas arrest a Carthage, Missouri man. On March 1st, Galena police officers were dispatched to the area of 4th and Main due to reports of a male subject attempting to get into vehicles. During questioning, the suspect fled on foot. After a brief chase on foot, he was taken into custody. It was discovered he had also stolen items while inside the Casey's earlier that morning. He's being held in the Cherokee County Jail for 2 counts of attempted burglary of a vehicle, theft, and interference with law enforcement. Additional drug-related charges were added later once it was discovered that he had drug paraphernalia and fentanyl on him. A federal court hands down sentencing to a former Missouri state representative for a nearly $900,000 COVID-19 fraud scheme. Authorities say Tricia Ashton Durgis who is 64 years old from Nixa, Missouri, stole almost $900,000, as well as a separate $200,000 fraud scheme. On Wednesday, Durgis was sentenced in Springfield, Missouri to 6 years, 3 months in federal prison with no parole. The court also ordered Durgis to pay $500,000 in restitution to the victims. If you'd like to read more about this story, you can head over to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. A Kansas City man learns his fate for robbing a bank in Joplin back in 2021. On Wednesday, a judge sentenced 59-year-old Leland Scott Graham to 8 years in federal prison without parole. Graham pled guilty to 1 count of bank robbery on August 2nd, 2020. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Scott admitted to stealing $24,478 from Great Southern Bank in Joplin on July 19th of 2021. Now, Graham still has state charges pending in a Lewisburg robbery from the same day. Southwest Missouri man accepts a plea deal to lessen his sentence in the case of a crash that killed 2 people. In June of 2018, authorities say Victor Alanis of Nixa was driving on Highway 60 at Route M in Newton County when he turned into the path of a motorcycle. Both the motorcycle occupants died as a result of the crash, and a urine analysis showed that Alanis was under the influence of cannabis. Alanis pled guilty to 2 counts of second-degree involuntary manslaughter. He is sentenced to 2 4-year terms that will run at the same time and a shock therapy program for 120 days. On Wednesday, a Joplin and Webb City, Missouri man was indicted by a federal grand jury for drug trafficking and illegally possessing firearms. Authorities say Mylan Alexander possessed fentanyl, methamphetamine, and cocaine, all with the intent to distribute. Alexander is also charged with being a felon in possession of firearms. The Joplin School District is making plans to test the safety of the drinking water in all of its school buildings. The Joplin School Board approved $400,000 for lead testing in schools' water. This decision follows a statewide mandate signed into law by Governor Mike Parson last summer, which requires all public school districts to conduct lead testing and install filters if lead concentrations exceed a certain threshold. Missouri Water Works provides water for the district and found no trace of lead in the newer buildings.
So there's zero trace of lead in the water coming into the building, so we know for a fact we're not going to have to filter any water coming into the building.
School district also is exploring the possibility of working with surrounding districts to get a deal on lead testing with existing companies. We'll have more on this in our 6 o'clock show. The Caney Valley Historical Society in Kansas wants to preserve and showcase some of its historical equipment from the city. The society has partnered with Boy Scouts to help build a cover to protect the display. Now, Roy Schaefer, Scoutmaster of Troop 3, leading the Scouts, rescued the old fire department's hose wheel, which will be displayed as well. He says it's important to learn from the past. This kind of project shows what the Scouts can accomplish in their leadership project.
It started out as a covering for the wagon, the rail wagon. And then when this came into existence, we discovered it and got a chance to have it. We thought it was time to expand it. So we've about doubled the size.
Organizers look to raise money for materials to build the cover. They hope to finish the project by the city's Mayfest at the end of May. And we'll have more on this in our 7 o'clock show. Anglers in Missouri can now go fishing for trout. Wednesday marked the beginning of Missouri's catch and keep trout season. It's been called the unofficial start of spring, and there are events all over in state parks. But one local city park also participates in trout fishing, and that's Morse Park in Neosho. This is their 4th year participating, but even before that, it was a long time in planning and clearing the banks of Hickory Creek to make it accessible.
We spent a lot of time opening up the banks in the creek area, moving a lot of brush and debris out of the way so anglers could get down there and fly fish and utilize this creek. There's great fishing spots up and down the creek. It is stocked monthly.
If you plan on fishing, you need to have a Missouri fishing license and a daily trout tag. You can find a link with details on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Lady Gorillas will take on the Lady Lions on Friday in the MIAA semifinals. We'll have how the Lady Gorillas feel about the upcoming match. Plus, Eli Lilly announces it's capping insulin to $35, which brings many diabetics around the U.S. relief. And the U.S. is seeing a rise in colorectal cancer in adults under the age of 55. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, yesterday was the opening day of the MIAA basketball tournament in Kansas City. In the men's bracket, the Missouri Southern Lions hit the floor in the first round against Northeastern State. The winner of yesterday's game advances to face Central Oklahoma in the tournament quarterfinals. Missouri Southern wins 70-60. Vincent Sigmund Jr. scores a team-high 21 points. The Lions move on to face Central Oklahoma at 2:15 this afternoon. In the women's bracket in Kansas City, Pitt State and Missouri Southern meet Friday in the tournament quarterfinals. It'll be the third meeting of the season between the two rivals. Gorillas swept the Lions in the regular season. Two teams are not only fighting for a spot in the MIAA semifinals, but also looking to boost their resumes for a potential spot in the Division II national tournament.
They've got a lot to play for. We have a lot to play for, and so it just makes it tough when you have to, have these tough battles between not only individual players but programs and rivalries, and all that meets again in Kansas City, and so it makes it fun. It's what March is all about.
It's hard to beat a team 3 times. Everybody knows that, but it's really exciting. I think that we get to have another rivalry game, especially at the stage we're at, and I think that's a lot of fun.
They know us like the back of their hand, and we've done a lot of work on them, and so and we both have, again, 4 days to prep for each other, and so it'll be, I'm sure, another one for the ages.
Well, still to come, Greece is still reeling as it tries to figure out what caused 2 trains to collide. And we're going to take another look at our wet, rainy forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. All right, we've got alert days today and tomorrow for heavy rain and flooding concerns. We've got flood watches Delaware, Benton, McDonald, Newton, Berry, and Lawrence counties kicking in this evening, running through noon tomorrow, and this is where we're expecting to see the heaviest rain. We also have the possibility of a couple of strong storms out there. Now you can see way to the southeast, there's a slight chance of an isolated tornado or two, but that's pretty far down there. Our biggest concern with any of the stronger storms would be maybe some small hail and perhaps some gusty winds out there, and you can see the situation or the threat for stronger storms is confined along and south of I-44. In terms of rainfall, all of us getting in on the shower and thunderstorm activity, but again, along and south of I-44, you're expecting those heavier amounts of rain. We're going to start to see some rain chances by late morning, early afternoon across the area, and then they'll taper off a bit before the main batch of showers and thunderstorms starts to move in later this evening and into the overnight hours. So as we look at the future track, there's a few of those showers, maybe a rumble of thunder or two. We get that pause, and that will actually allow us to warm up a little bit, and then we'll see the main show of showers and thunderstorms start to roll into the area. We're also going to have gusty winds to contend with as we go through today, into tonight, and tomorrow. We're looking at wind gusts 20 to 30 miles an hour, but by tomorrow evening, the good news is those gusts start to settle down. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. We're looking pretty good so far. Same at 7th and range line. We're cloudy out there, but sitting at 39. Feels like 33 with a northeast breeze at 8. Temperatures across the region, it is a cold start for some of us. 36 in Iola, 41 Parsons, Chitopa, 43 Miami, 42 in Neosho, and 39 in Carthage. As we get our day started, again, we'll be breezy, we'll be chilly, we'll be mostly cloudy. Up to the lower 50s by late morning. Start to see some of those isolated showers. These will be scattered showers and thunderstorms for the early afternoon hours. And in between the breaks, we'll make it up to highs into the upper 50s. As we go into tonight, though, we'll eventually get down to 40 for our overnight low. We're going to have thunderstorms through the evening. And, of course, we'll have gusty winds outside of those thunderstorm chances. Taking a look down the road, we still have our alert day for tomorrow. There's that slight possibility of some light snow. As we head into Friday, we could see maybe a dusting, especially across southeast Kansas where it's going to get a little colder, but we're not anticipating significant accumulations. However, could still lead to some slick spots. We will eventually make it, believe it or not, to 50 tomorrow. And as you see, if we do see any kind of snow on Friday, it doesn't last long. Look at these temperatures back through the 60s. We've got a pretty pleasant weekend ahead of us. We see more shower chances Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, up to 71 Monday. But as you can see, we also start to cool back down as we head toward the middle of next next week, so we're not quite officially to spring yet, but we are slowly but surely starting to get there with some nice milder temperatures. Well, one of the nation's biggest drug makers is drastically lowering the price of insulin, capping the cost at $35 a month for everyone. The move comes after President Biden pushed the move for seniors on Medicare. Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
Many of the 37 million Americans with diabetes are all too familiar with the choice between cost and care. More than 1 million of them had to ration their insulin in 2021 because of the price.
It was groceries or insulin, it was rent or insulin, it was gas to get to my job, to get the paycheck to pay for my insulin or insulin.
Treating diabetes can cost about $9,600 per person per year, with the U.S. ranking as one of the top countries where insulin is most expensive. But folks could be paying a lot less. Eli Lilly is cutting the price of its commonly used forms of insulin by 70% and capping out-of-pocket costs for the medication at $35 per month.
This is a culmination of about 7 years of work we've been doing to reduce the price of our insulins.
The Inflation Reduction Act imposed a $35 monthly cap on insulin for seniors, a provision that took effect in January. During his State of the Union address, President Biden called on other drug makers to lower their prices too.
This is great news and important progress toward lowering costs for all Americans.
The price cuts are potentially life-saving. Still, nonprofit organizations like Beyond Type 1 say more needs to be done.
It needs to be system-wide change amongst the entire U.S. healthcare system because we know how broken it is.
Now, Eli Lilly is calling on other groups like the insurance industry and Congress to match their effort and lower insulin prices for everyone. That brings us to our question for you this morning. Should all medications have a price cap? Yes or no? We want to hear from you. Vote. You can vote through our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also do so in our app, and you can take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, 11 minutes of speed walking could lower chances of an early death. A new study from the University of Cambridge found moderate intensity activity helps prevent certain diseases. All it takes is 75 minutes a week. Scientists say those who walk that amount have a 17% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and a 7% lower risk of cancer. Researchers say 1 in 10 early deaths could be prevented just from the 11 minutes a day of activity. Well, there's a troubling rise of colorectal cancer among U.S. adults younger than 55 years old, and that's according to the American Cancer Society's latest annual report. Based on the findings, 20% of new cases of colon and rectal cancers are among Americans in their early 50s or younger. In 1995, the proportion of those cancers among that age group was just over 10%. Doctors don't know what's causing the increase, but they say it could be related to changes in the environment or diets. Good news, though, the report found more people today are surviving colorectal cancer. American Cancer Society says the best way to reduce your risk is to get screened, starting at the age of 45. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we are watching. We've got alert days today and into tomorrow for flooding concerns, especially along and south of I-44, where we've got flood watches for Delaware, Benton, McDonald, Newton, Berry, and Lawrence counties. They officially kick in this evening. It will run through noon tomorrow. We're talking some pretty heavy amounts of rain. We're going to take a complete look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 5:30, a Chautauqua, Kansas resident who desperately needs transportation to medical appointments ends up frequently stranded.
We've got alert days today and tomorrow. Thunderstorms, heavy rainfall, and flooding concerns as we head into tonight and tomorrow morning. We'll talk about all of that coming up.
And we break out our fairy godmother to get us to the ball as Rogers and Hammerstein's Cinderella comes to the 4 states.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:29. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got a lot of changes coming as we head into the next few hours across the area, and that's why we have alert days for today and tomorrow. Those alert days are for flooding concerns, and here's a look at the latest flood watches that we have. Delaware, Benton, McDonald, Newton, Berry, and Lawrence counties right along and south of I-44. These kick in this evening and run through noon tomorrow because we are expecting some heavy amounts of rainfall. We also have the threat for a couple of strong storms out there. Now, the good news is we're not looking at widespread severe weather, nothing like what we saw on Monday, but a few stronger storms. You can see there's very low-end tornado risk way to our southeast. Our biggest risk, if we see any stronger storms, is going to be some small hail and perhaps some gusty winds right along and south of I-44. Same situation, though, right along and south of I-44 is where we're expecting the heaviest rainfall as we head through the next 24 to 48 hours. And take a look, we're all going to get in on the rain action. We've mentioned we do need this rain for sure. We're just, some of us getting a little too much too quickly down in our southeastern counties. We got the chances of some showers and maybe a few rumbles of thunder as we head into the early afternoon hours, and then that'll kind of drop off briefly before the main system gets here as we head into this evening. So as we take a look at the future track, that's what we'll see. There's those few scattered showers, maybe some thunderstorms out there, and then we'll start to see the bigger and heavier activity roll in as we go through late this evening into tomorrow. We're also dealing with gusty winds through today and into tomorrow, gusts upwards of 20 to 30 miles an hour. We've got pretty decent situation or conditions right now. It's chilly though. Take a look, 39, feels like 33 in Joplin with a northeast breeze at 8 miles an hour. Temperatures across the region look like this: 37 Fort Scott, 39 Pittsburgh, 43 Miami, and we're sitting at 42 in the ocean. As we get our day started, we're mostly cloudy, windy, chilly, up to 52 by 11. That's when we'll start to see a few stray showers out there. A few more scattered showers, maybe some thunderstorms, gusty conditions through the early afternoon. And between all that, we're making highs into the upper 50s today. As we head into tonight, as mentioned, showers, thunderstorms pick up in coverage as we go through the evening, and we will eventually make it down to a low of 40 degrees tonight. So again, this is where our flooding concerns come in. So as we've mentioned, if you live in those flood-prone areas and you know where those flood-prone areas are, plan your commute tonight and tomorrow accordingly. Of course, we'll continue to watch these storms and keep an eye on that forecast for you. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, one man in Chautauqua, Kansas is in desperate need of transportation for medical appointments. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke to a man who's been getting stranded after taking medical transport for doctor's appointments.
KenCare offers free transportation through Yellow Transportation through a state contract. Jerry Dye qualifies for 24 medical rides and 12 non-medical rides per year. However, Yellow Transportation has been leaving Jerry stranded.
I wasn't in there more than 4 or 5 minutes, and when I came out, he's gone.
Jerry was stranded for hours, and this isn't the first time. Yellow Transportation has done this more than 4 times. He had to rely on the kindness of strangers to get back home.
But I ran out of transportation availability and options. So it's this transportation service now or nothing.
So much so that he's afraid to even set up another doctor's appointment, afraid he's going to get stranded again.
Yeah, I'm afraid to call and go up there and get any kind of test done or, looked at, because I don't want to get stranded again. I mean, they might not want to help me the next time.
Jerry tried asking for help, but the transportation services tells him to find his own way home. They'll pay for the gas.
Well, I've been down that road before, and it's like trying to pull teeth from somebody with no anesthesia. They don't want to give up that money for their gas, and even then it's not worth, the person's time to.
Most of Jerry's family have died or moved away. Not having reliable transportation is affecting his health.
And that's what they do that I think is really wrong, is drop a disabled person off and just run off and leave them. Because I've got the blindness, I've got the diabetes, I can't hardly walk, I need this anymore.
Reporting in Chautauqua, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Amber Jenkins reached out to KenCare and Yellow Transportation but has not received a response. Well, the Joplin Post-Art Library partners with the Joplin Public Library for its new community read program. Joplin Reads Together. It'll include the reading of Shelby Van Pelt's Remarkably Bright Creatures. It'll also feature a community-based art exhibit titled Lost and Found, Remarkably Bright Objects. It features art created with found objects.
Well, you could have a couple different interpretations of what found art or found objects are. It could be something that you find when you're out walking along or you just randomly find somewhere, or it could be something that's an average everyday object that you turn into.
McDonald County School District showcases its students' love for reading and passion for literature with their Gateway Luncheon. The luncheon is designed to celebrate various cultures at McDonald County High School and recognize the hard work of students who've read at least 5 of the Gateway Award books. Gateway books are nominated by Missouri students, librarians, and teachers as some of the best books out there. And one student says, "Don't give up on finding the right book."
Honestly, I feel like if you don't really like reading, you probably just haven't found a book for you. I tell that to my brother all the time because he hates reading, but I actually introduced him to this basketball series, and he really likes it because that's what he's interested in, so that's fun.
This year was a Disney-themed event. It featured special guest speakers and performers and surprise visits from Gateway authors. Well, Southeast Kansas Arts Group is getting set for its production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. The Cherokee County Arts Association is putting on the play, and on Wednesday they hosted a media night. The show is for all ages and features more than 40 performers ranging from ages 4 to 67.
It's a challenge to direct all ages, but it's one of the great things about community theater and one of the things that makes it so magical, that everyone gets to be involved together and that it can really be just an all-inclusive experience.
You can catch the show at the James C. Chrisman Performing Arts Center in Galena on Friday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. and then on Sunday at 2:30. Kansas biologists spot a rare species often not seen in the state. The Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks reported on social media that its biologists captured photos of an eastern spotted skunk in the state. That's pretty cool. Organization has been searching for signs of this elusive species through use of trail cameras and sardine baits. The species used to be common in many areas of the U.S., but it has declined since the 1940s, and this is due to factors like habitat and resource use change. Now, this cute but elusive skunk is protected by the Kansas Non-Game and Endangered Species Conservation Act. Several counties in Kansas, including Wilson, Woodson, Labette, and Montgomery counties, contain critical habitats for the skunk. I wonder if it's a little stinker too.
Probably.
I don't want to find out. All right, this morning we're discussing cheaper insulin cost.
Many of the 37 million Americans with diabetes are all too familiar with the choice between cost and care. More than 1 million of them had to ration their insulin in 2021 because of the price.
The Inflation Reduction Act imposed a $35 monthly cap on insulin for seniors, a provision that took effect in January. During his State of the Union address, President Biden called on other drug makers to lower their prices as well. The price cuts are potentially life-saving. Still, nonprofit organizations like Beyond Type 1 say more needs to be done.
And that does bring us to our question for you this morning. Should all medications have a price cap? So far, 100% of you say they should. So make sure you take time to vote in our poll through our website, the app, and of course take part in the discussion on Facebook.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, volunteers work to restore a historically black cemetery.
Plus, Greece's transportation minister resigns over the deadly train collision. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, recovery efforts in Greece are underway after the deadliest train crash in the country's history. At least 43 people are dead and dozens more injured as of Wednesday night. Now, the cause of the crash is still unknown. Kevin Cork reports on the latest.
Chaos erupting in Greece. Protesters facing off against police outside of the offices of the country's rail operator Wednesday night. Anger and frustration growing following the country's deadliest train crash in history Tuesday.
The whole train had bent 90 degrees, had fallen over the cliff, and half was hanging in the air. The whole thing was on fire.
So far, dozens have died and dozens more remain hospitalized. A result of a head-on collision between a passenger train carrying 350 people and a freight train in the eastern part of the country. The country's prime minister promising an independent investigation.
I met with the families of the victims and people missing at the hospital in Larissa. While going through untold pain and with exceeding dignity, they asked me why this happened and told me it should never happen again. We owe them an honest answer.
Meanwhile, search and rescue efforts at the crash site continue, with nearby volunteers lining up to donate blood for the victims to help keep more people from dying.
Queues reached up to 5 hours waiting. That's what a blood donor told us earlier. It's a testament to those donors who gave up their time to help their fellow people.
Greece's transportation minister has resigned, and a station master is arrested in the wake of the crash. A union for train workers, meanwhile, announces a 24-hour strike scheduled for Thursday. Well, Greece's transport minister has resigned following a catastrophic train collision that killed dozens of people. Kostas Karamanli submitted his resignation on Wednesday, and he says resigning was his duty and, quote, the least he could do to honor the memory of the victims. Karamanlis is also saying he will bear responsibility for the state's long-standing failures. Earlier, he accompanied Greece's prime minister on a tour of the crash site. Prime Minister pledged a full investigation into the cause of the deadly wreck. At least 36 people were killed when a passenger train slammed head-on into a cargo train in Greece on Tuesday. Like we said, it was the country's deadliest rail crash in recent years. Well, concern is growing in Iran after reports emerged that hundreds of schoolgirls had been poisoned across the country in recent months. A member of Iran's parliament cited an unnamed reliable source saying that nearly 900 students from across the country have been poisoned so far. The first reported poisonings happened in the city of KOAM in November, where 18 girls from one high school were poisoned. And then in February, another 100 students from 13 schools were taken to hospitals after what is being described as serial poisonings. Other incidents have happened in Kuharmala, Bakhtiari, and Bourjard as well. The historic coronation chair in Britain is getting a touch-up before King Charles's upcoming coronation. The 700-year-old coronation chair has seen many monarchs crowned, including Henry VIII, Queen Victoria, and Queen Elizabeth II. The famous chair was made on orders of King Edward I to include the Stone of Destiny, which was used for the coronation of Scottish kings for centuries. Coronation of the King and the Queen Consort will take place at Westminster Abbey on Saturday, May the 6th. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Here's Chris with your forecast.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We have alert days for today and tomorrow. We got thunderstorms with heavy rain coming in, flood watches that kick in this evening through Friday at noon. And that's what the alert days are for, is our flooding concern. So here's a look at those watches. We've got Lawrence, Berry, Newton, McDonald, Benton, and Delaware counties all under these watches this evening through noon tomorrow. And we also are watching the possibility of a stray strong storm or two. Now, way to our southeast, there's a very low-end tornado risk, but if we see any stronger storms today, which there may be a couple, we're looking at small hail and some gusty winds. The good news is we're still not anticipating any significant severe weather. What we are anticipating is significant rainfall. Now, a lot of us, all of us actually, getting in on the rain showers and the thunderstorms, but along and to the south of I-44 is where we're expecting the heaviest rainfall amounts. We've got the opportunity for some showers and thunderstorms as we head in the late morning, early afternoon, and then that will drop off for all of us before it starts to pick up again late this evening, say around 7, 8 o'clock, as we see the main batch of showers and thunderstorms start to roll into the area. So here are those scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder out there as we head into the early afternoon, and then the main batch gets here late this evening and starts to overspread the area. And you can see, well, all of us are getting in on shower and thunderstorm activity. You can see where the heaviest rain is going to be, hence those flood watches that are out there. So if you live in those flood-prone areas or your commute takes you through them, make sure you're planning accordingly. All right, also dealing with gusty winds through today, into tonight, and into tomorrow morning, gusts 20 to 30 miles an hour, but thankfully by Friday evening, those wind gusts will start to calm down. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. One guy waiting on that red light. I've been that one guy at 3 o'clock in the morning on my way here. 7 range line, we're looking pretty good so far. 39 though, so it is chilly. Feeling like 33 with a northeast breeze at 8 in Joplin. Across the region, again, it's a chilly start. 36 Iola, 40 Chinook, 41 Parsons Chatopa, 43 Miami, 42 Neosho, and 37 in Lamar and Nevada. As we get our day started, we're going to be mostly cloudy. We're going to be breezy. We're going to be cool, making it up to about 52 by 11. That's when we'll start to see some of those isolated showers. Scattered showers and thunderstorms through the early afternoon, and in between all that, highs making it into the upper 50s. And as we go into tonight, the big show gets started. Heavy rain, showers, thunderstorms, gusty winds, and eventually dropping back down to a low of 40, which is why tomorrow we could still possibly see some light snow. Still not expecting much out of that light snow in southeast Kansas primarily, but there could be a dusting out there. However, it won't last long, whatever does stick, because we're up to 50. We're in the 60s. We've got a beautiful weekend ahead of us, up to 71 by Monday, and we see shower chances building in through the rest of the week, and our temperatures start to fall back too, down to 39 next Friday, maybe a wintry mix, and we'll start to warm up heading into next weekend. We'll be back with more right after this.
Volunteers are working to restore a historically black cemetery in Richmond, Virginia. The Woodland Cemetery is more than a century old, and brush and bramble had overtaken it. Cameron Thompson has more on the restoration effort.
On a cloudy Thursday morning, three people make their way through Woodland Cemetery.
Well, right here is a little cement wall.
Two have been regulars for years, while one hasn't been in decades. And what they passed through on their journey is indicative of the work Marvin Harris, John Shuck, and others have done.
It's a lot different now.
And what they're still faced with.
It's a major project, but we're going to get there.
As Woodland, home to the likes of tennis great and Richmond native Arthur Ashe, is one of several historic black cemeteries that fell into disrepair once cemeteries were desegregated, allowing nature to creep back in and swallow up some of the estimated 30,000 graves across the 30-acre property.
You know, they didn't get government funding or anything like that. You know, it was, in most cases, it was up to the families to maintain their plot.
But in recent years, efforts have been made to fight back, with it ramping up in 2020 when Harris's Woodland Restoration Foundation took control of the cemetery with help from Henrico County. One part of the work is armies of volunteers cutting down the overgrowth, and Harris says they've gotten about 23 of the 30 acres.
Volunteers has been fantastic with getting us to the point that we are right now.
And the other part is rediscovering the graves and who's buried there.
All the records prior to 1929 have been lost. So the only way we know where somebody is buried here prior to that is finding a grave marker.
For Shuck, that means combining new and old technology as he uses a drone to look for indicators of unmarked graves.
See some like brownish rectangles, 3 of them together there, and those are grave shafts. Wish I'd get lucky and find one.
And then probing those spots for grave markers.
If we find it, we'll take it out, reset it up.
So far, they've recovered nearly 5,000, with the end goal of returning the dignity to a person's final resting place and giving their loved ones a chance to once again pay their respects.
We've had them actually come in and cry because they hadn't been able to see those headstones in 15 to 20 years.
Which is what brings us back to Thursday, as Shuck and Harris help Karen Norwood look for her mother's grave, a place she hasn't been to in decades.
Since before my dad died in 2003.
Finding its GPS coordinates online, it takes them into the still wooded portion of the cemetery, and stepping over sunken plots and scraping through underbrush until...
Right here.
Got it? Yep. Hey, Mom! Oh, God, I get a call out.
Gloria Ann Norwood
Hey, Mom!
is found.
God is good.
For Norwood, the discovery, she says, put a touching on her heart and praises the work of volunteers.
Oh, man. I miss you so much.
While for Harris and Shuck...
That's why we do this. I mean, that's where, to me, boils down to is helping families reconnect like this.
Well, Harris says the project is always looking for financial support, volunteers, and information from descendants as well. We'll be right back. Well, Venus may not be burning like a silver flame, but the planet lives up to its namesake, the Roman goddess of love. Last night, stargazers got a chance to see what astronomers call a conjunction as Venus and Jupiter past each other. The two planets will appear so close to one another, some are calling it a kiss. Now, in reality, the closest they come from our perspective is about the diameter of a full moon apart. Now, Venus and Jupiter are the brightest objects in the night sky right now, aside from the moon, so the conjunction will be very visible. I can't really tell from that story if it already happened or it's still going to happen. We'll talk about having an out-of-this-world afterlife. The DNA of 4 former and late presidents will be sent into space. Celestic, a space burial company, is sending the symbolic remains of George Washington, Dwight Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, and Ronald Reagan on its Enterprise flight. This special launch was fittingly announced on February 20th, which is President's Day. DNA samples from some non-former presidents will also be part of the trip, including some from Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry, his wife Majel, and Star Trek engineer James Scotty Doohan will also be on this trip.
That is excellent that they'll be on that trip as well. We've got windy conditions through this morning, mostly cloudy skies. See some isolated showers late this morning up to 52. We're going to see some scattered showers and thunderstorms through the early afternoon, and we'll be breezy up to 58 for a high. As we head into this evening, that's why we've got flood watches and alert days for those flooding concerns. Heavy rain, thunderstorms, gusty winds, 20, 30 miles an hour through the evening, dropping down to a low of 40. So again, alert days today and tomorrow for those flooding concerns. Maybe a stray flurry or two tomorrow morning up to 50. Pleasant weekend. We're nice to start with the temperatures, showers, and then we start to cool down by the middle of next week with more rain. We're back with more right after this.
Right now at 6, authorities respond to calls of a shooting in Springdale, Arkansas, and the response leaves one person with life-threatening injuries.
And we've got ourselves a couple of alert days. We're looking at a decent weekend, but we're going to talk about the flooding concerns we have tonight and the thunderstorm chances coming up.
The city man learns his fate in federal court after a Joplin robbery attempt back in 2021.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. Just after 6 o'clock, we got a lot of weather to talk about today as we've got incoming showers, thunderstorms, heavy rain, and flooding concerns. That's why we do have alert days today and tomorrow, and it is for those flooding concerns across the area. We have flood watches, Delaware, Benton, McDonald, Newton, Berry, and Lawrence counties. They kick in this evening and run through noon tomorrow. We're also watching the possibility of a stray strong storm or two. Now, there's a very low-end tornado risk well to our south and east. If we see any stronger storms, the biggest concern we would have would be maybe some small hail and some gusty winds. So we'll keep an eye on those storms for you, but we're not anticipating any widespread severe weather or anything like that. What we are anticipating is very heavy rain. All of us getting in on the shower and thunderstorm activity, but along and south of I-44 is where we're going to see the heaviest rain. And that rain, we'll see some chances increase as we head into late morning, early afternoon, and then those chances will drop off a bit before the actual main system gets here later this evening, say around 5, 6 o'clock, starts rolling into the area. So here's a few of those spotty showers, maybe some thunderstorms this afternoon. We get that break, which that will allow us to actually warm up a bit into the upper 50s, and then the rain and thunderstorm activity begins to build in, and you can see where the heaviest rain is going to be concentrated along and south of I-44. More showers, thunderstorm activity in southeast Kansas. We are looking at the possibility still of some light snow, especially in southeast Kansas. However, we're not really anticipating much out of that, a dusting at best, but could still cause some slick spots. We're also going to deal with gusty winds today and into tonight and tomorrow morning. So we're going to see gusts 20, 30 miles an hour. That's outside of any thunderstorms we may see. But by tomorrow evening, those winds begin to calm down. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. Looks pretty darn good so far. Same from 7th and range line. We're cloudy, but we're sitting at 39. Feels like 33 with an east-northeast breeze at 9. Bit of a chilly start for us. 37 Fort Scott, 39 Parsons, Chitopa, 41 in Miami, and 42 in Neosho. So we get our day started. Again, we'll be breezy, gusts 20, 30 miles an hour, mostly cloudy. We'll eventually make it to the lower 50s, and we'll start to see those isolated showers by late morning. Scattered showers and thunderstorms in the early afternoon, very breezy as well. And in between the showers, we're going to make it to highs in the upper 50s. And as we head into this evening, showers, thunderstorms really ramp up, staying gusty, temperatures falling back, watching out for that heavy rain. We'll make it down to a low of 40. We'll have more on your forecast and the next several days here in just a few minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. A woman and a teen are hospitalized following a Wednesday morning shooting in Springdale, Arkansas. Authorities received a call of a woman banging on their door saying she'd been shot in the arm. When officers arrived, they were told the alleged shooter was inside a car nearby. Authorities say when they inspected the car, there was a man lying in the car. And when asked to show his hands, he got up and pointed a weapon at one of the officers. The officers say that's when the officer shot the suspect in the head, who was a teen. He and the woman were both taken to the hospital, and police say the teen's injuries are life-threatening. A federal court hands down sentencing to a former Missouri state representative for a nearly $900,000 COVID-19 fraud scheme. Authorities say Trisha Ashton Durgis, who is 64 years old, from Nixa, Missouri, stole almost $900,000 as well as a separate $200,000 fraud scheme. On Wednesday, Durgis was sentenced in Springfield, Missouri to 6 years and 3 months in federal prison without parole. The court also ordered Durgis to pay $500,000 in restitution to the victims. If you'd like to read more about this story, you can head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A Kansas City man learns his fate for robbing a bank in Joplin back in 2021. On Wednesday, a judge sentenced 59-year-old Leland Scott Graham to 8 years in federal prison without parole. Graham pled guilty to one count of bank robbery on August 2nd of 2022. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Graham admitted to stealing $24,478 from the Great Southern Bank in Joplin on July 19th of 2021. Graham still has state charges pending in a Lewisburg robbery from the same day. On Wednesday, a Joplin and Webb City, Missouri man is indicted by a federal grand jury for drug trafficking and illegally possessing firearms. Authorities say Mylan Alexander possessed fentanyl, methamphetamine, and cocaine, all with the intent to distribute. Alexander is also charged with being a felon in possession of firearms. Well, 3 astronauts and a cosmonaut are headed to the International Space Station after a successful launch from the Kennedy Space Center. Jared Hill has the report.
3, 2, 1. Engines full power and liftoff.
In a blaze of glory, the SpaceX Falcon rocket blasted off from Florida's Kennedy Space Center, lighting up the night sky.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Traveling faster than the speed of sound, the rocket, with 4 astronauts on board, is speeding off to the International Space Station, swapping with a crew that's been there since October.
And here they come.
Walking out to the capsule overnight, Crew 6, Russian cosmonaut Andrei Fedyayev, American pilot Warren Woody Hoberg, and Commander Stephen Bowen, and Sultan Al Niyadi from the United Arab Emirates, the first person from the Arab world going for an extended months-long stay.
Whoa.
On the ground, a few dozen spectators taking it all in.
Seeing it in person, feeling the sound come across, was something I'll absolutely never forget.
This success comes after the first shot was called off at the last minute Monday.
We're standing down.
A clogged filter in the engine ignition system putting the voyage on hold. But today, all systems go. This is the 6th long-duration ISS team that NASA has flown with SpaceX since Elon Musk's company started sending American astronauts into orbit in 2020. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Nearly 80 spectators from the United Arab Emirates watched from the launch site as astronaut Sultan Al Niyadi, only the second Emirati to fly to space, blasted off on his 6th mission. Well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we have ignition as SpaceX sends a crew of 4 into the history books.
Second time's a charm. I'm Jared Hill with the details of the successful SpaceX launch overnight and how this trip is making history around the world.
Plus, the new sobriety program shows the early stages of success in not only keeping participants out of jail, but keeping them alive. And Chris has another look at our chances for rain on this cool and cloudy Thursday morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Health Watch this morning, sleeping too little or too much may lead to health issues. Researchers at the University of Bergen found people who slept less than 6 hours a night were 27% more likely to report infections. But patients who slept more than 9 hours a night were 44% more likely to get sick. Well, employees who get more paid sick leave get cancer screenings more often. A study by the Tulane University showed breast cancer screenings went up 4% and colorectal cancer screenings went up 6 to 8%. In areas with paid sick leave mandates, the U.S. is the only wealthy nation in the world to not have federally mandated paid sick leave. And a new alcohol avoidance program in South Dakota is showing early signs of success. The 24/7 sobriety program requires repeat offenders of alcohol-related crimes to get frequent alcohol testing. Those who test positive or miss a test may face 1 to 2 days in jail. The Rand Corporation says participants had a 50% lower risk of dying while they were in the program. Well, more colorectal cancer is being picked up at advanced stages and rates are increasing among younger people, and that's according to a new report from the American Cancer Society. Michael George introduces us to a patient who learned she had stage 4 colon cancer at age 44.
In December of 2021, Anna Canali noticed something wasn't right.
I was having discomfort, wasn't able to use the bathroom. I looked like I was 6 months pregnant.
She saw her doctor and scheduled a colonoscopy for the following month, the day after her 45th birthday.
I didn't even make it to that point because then I ended up in the emergency room.
At age 44, the Long Island mother of 3 was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer that had spread to her liver. A new report from the American Cancer Society anticipates 153,000 new colorectal cancer cases this year and about 52,000 deaths. 60% of new cases are advanced stage disease, and rates are increasing among younger people.
Shockingly, 1 in 5 people who will be diagnosed presently are younger than 55 years of age, which is quite young for colorectal cancer.
Doctors aren't sure what's driving that trend, but say more than half of colorectal cancers are attributed to factors under your control, like diet, exercise, and smoking. Doctors recommend knowing your risk and getting screened, ideally with a colonoscopy starting at age 45.
I don't remember what my life was like before cancer. This has become the new norm for me.
Canali says despite the rigors of her chemotherapy, she's living a full life with her family and staying positive.
I know that I'm going to be okay. I have that, I can see it, and I know that my positivity can help others.
Canali wants others to be aware of their bodies, and if they feel something, say something. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Colorectal cancer is still the 3rd deadliest cancer in the U.S. The American Cancer Society says this recent shift toward a younger patient demographic is making it more difficult to save lives. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got alert days for today and tomorrow. We've got thunderstorms coming in later this evening. They're going to bring heavy rain, and the alert days are for our flooding concerns that we have from this evening through tomorrow. In fact, we have some flood watches out there that kick in this evening, running through noon tomorrow. We're going to take a complete look at your forecast and how long the warm weather sticks around here in just a minute. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We have our alert days today and tomorrow, and here's why. Flooding concerns. We have flood watches, Delaware, Benton, McDonald, Newton, Berry, and Lawrence counties. They officially kick in this evening, and they will run through noon tomorrow. And here's why. Because we're going to get plenty of heavy rain. We're also looking at the possibility of a strong storm or two. Now, there's an isolated tornado risk well to our southeast. Our biggest concern out of any stronger storms we may see would be some large hail, maybe even just small hail, honestly, and perhaps some gusty winds. So we're not terribly concerned about any severe weather this evening, but there could be a stronger storm or two out there. The thing we are concerned about is the amount of heavy rain that we're going to get. All of us getting in on shower and thunderstorm activity, all of us getting in on the rain, but along and to the south of I-44 is where that heaviest rain is going to fall. Now we're going to see rain chances pick up as we in the late morning, early afternoon across the area, as we see a possibility of a few showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two. That drops off later in the afternoon and then ramps right back up as we head through the evening hours as the main batch of showers and thunderstorms rolls through the area. So here's a look at some of those few scattered showers out there, and again, maybe a rumble of thunder or two. We get that pause, and that pause is enough to actually allow us to warm up a bit before the main batch of showers and thunderstorms starts to roll through later this evening and into the overnight hours. And there will be some pauses here and there, but you can see long and south of I-44, not many pauses there. More showers and thunderstorms develop. They continue to roll through. Southeast Kansas could even get some light snow. We're not anticipating much out of this, but there could be a dusting of snow out there, maybe a few slick spots, so do be aware of that. And then this system will kick on out of here. However, through the morning, the afternoon, tonight, and into tomorrow morning, we're dealing with gusty winds pushing 20, 30 miles an hour across the area. So that's going to be outside of any thunderstorms we see. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, looking pretty good so far. Like earlier, there they go. We had one lone car waiting on that light, and that one got to go. We had cloudy skies out there. It's 39 in Joplin, feeling like 33 with an east-northeast breeze at about 9 miles an hour. It's a chilly one again. 36 Iola, 40 Chanute, 39 Parsons Chatopa, 41 in Miami, 42 Neosho, and 38 in Carthage. And as we get our morning started, again, we'll be mostly cloudy, we'll be breezy, we'll be cool, making it into the lower 50s by late morning, starting to see, again, some isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms through the early afternoon. And in between the breaks, we'll make it up to about 58. And then tonight is where we are watching those showers and thunderstorms really ramping up. We'll hold on to the gusty winds. We'll eventually drop back down to a low right around 40 degrees. Looking ahead, here's what we've got. So again, alert days today, tomorrow. Possible light snow tomorrow morning, not anticipating much out of that. And even if we got something, look at that, we're going to make it up in the upper 40s to near 50 degrees. We go through the weekend, and this is an absolutely beautiful weekend. 61 Saturday, 66 Sunday, mostly clear skies, maybe a few extra clouds on Sunday, looking pretty good. And that's ahead of some additional changes. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, let's even go beyond that. Thursday, scattered shower chances. Good temperatures though Monday, 71. 57 Tuesday, down to 50 Wednesday, 47 by Thursday. See how these temperatures just keep kind of dropping off here? Down to 39 by Friday, maybe a wintry mix out there with some scattered showers as well. More showers possible as we head into the weekend following. But we start to warm up again as temperatures make it back to the mid-40s. So again, if you live in those flood-prone areas, especially along and south of I-44, or your commute takes you through those low-water crossings, areas that you know are prone to flooding, make sure you plan your commute this evening and tomorrow morning accordingly. And remember, turn around, don't drown. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Welcome back. We've got a special treat for you this morning, as you recognize, I'm sure, Chef Anthony, and then he has brought along a special guest, Anna Osborne, joining us from Pittsburgh High School here, cast member for SpongeBob show coming up next weekend, and also a member of his Culinary Arts Club.
That's right.
Thank you, too, for coming in this morning. Now, we're going to be cooking something fun later this morning,
yes.
But right now we wanted to talk about SpongeBob, the production itself. When is the show?
Next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday and Friday is at 7 o'clock in the evening, and Saturday it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. And you said you were a member of the ensemble. Mm-hmm. What does that entail?
A lot of dancing, a lot of singing, a couple lines, and just a big presence on stage. Because there's some shows where it's just the leads on stage and you don't even notice the ensemble. But for this show, at least half of it is the ensemble work. You can see they have a presence on stage.
Do you have to adjust how you perform when you're trying to imagine yourself performing underwater rather than where you could normally breathe?
Not particularly, because fish have gills.
Very true.
And technically I am a fish, but it is a little bit the lighting is weird because it's under the sea, but it's not that different.
Okay. What are some of your funnest scenes so far that you've been working on?
The pirate song is so much fun. It's extremely a lot of exercise, but it's fun. And there's a couple of angry mob scenes where I just get to scream, and that's a great time.
I know you were in some productions when you were in Pittsburgh Community Middle School. Is this one of your first productions at the high school level?
This is my first production in it. I was on tech for Big Fish, but this is my first one acting.
What do you think of it so far?
It's fun.
Okay. Now let's transition over to something that you do on Wednesday evenings. You join the Culinary Arts Club. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we get there after school, and there's we sign in, and it's kind of a big thing because there's so many people. But sometimes we'll do multiple projects where like there's one table they're doing like a demo, and then one table they're preparing for his show in the morning, and we just have a good time. It's a little crazy because culinary people are weirdos, but
is that much different than theater people?
No, it's not. It's truly not.
I think that it takes a very special person to be able to pull off theater. I don't think I could do it, but definitely when a theater person says that you're weird, you're definitely weird.
That's what I was thinking, exactly. So what does it mean to you to have students that are involved so heavily in one organization, after school organization, still be a part of your culinary club too?
It's great. It brings a whole new energy. We had our fundraiser at Panda on Saturday, and Anna was our dragon, and she was out there dancing and having a good time and taking pictures with kids and parents. It was a wonderful experience. And without having students that are involved in other programs, I don't think we would be as successful as we are. The theater kids bring a whole new excitement and energy to the program. The students that are part of debate and forensics do a lot of planning and organization of events. The business students, they keep track of everything that we want to do, how we can make it happen. So if it wasn't for all the different organizations inside of the school, I don't think we would be successful at all.
Now, real quickly, tell me what we're going to be making coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
So we're going to take my crab cake recipe and we're going to put a little twist onto it. We're going to make it a little bit more budget friendly for those who are really trying to watch their budget and how much they're spending. So instead of crab, we're going to use chicken to show you just how easy it is to convert it over to something else. And you can do chicken, you can do tuna, you can do canned salmon, you can do just about anything that you want, but the base of the recipe will stay the same.
All right, well, we are out of time, so we better go to break, and we will see you back here on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Please stick around. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, the Joplin School District moves forward with plans to test for the presence of lead in the drinking water of its schools.
And we've got alert days today and tomorrow with thunderstorms coming in later this evening overnight with heavy rain and flood watches in place. We're going to take a look at all of that.
And pack up your rod and reel and your skillet as Missouri splashes into the first day of trout season.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:29. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we have got a lot of rain coming in, and we do have flood watches, we have flooding concerns, and that's what our alert days are for. They can be for a number of things, for winter storms, severe weather. In this case, they are for flooding concerns that we have that are going to kick in later this evening. So here's a look at those flood watches as they stand. We've got Delaware, Benton, McDonald, Newton, Berry, and Lawrence counties under flood watches kicking in this evening, running through noon tomorrow. We're also watching the possibility with these thunderstorms for a strong storm or two. Now, there is a very low-end tornado risk well to our southeast. Our biggest concern with any of the stronger storms would be some small hail and perhaps some gusty winds, and you can see where those stronger storms are expected, almost right along and south of I-44. Not anticipating really much in the way of severe weather, but a strong storm or two is possible. The one thing that we do have concerns about is all of this heavy rain. Now, everybody getting in on showers, thunderstorms, and rainfall, but as you can see along and south of I-44, that's where the heaviest rain is going to be. We've got the opportunity to see a few stray showers or thunderstorms later this afternoon across the area, but then you can see those chances for some of us start to drop off, and then later this evening, they really start to ramp up across the areas. We'll see the main events start to get in here. We're also going to be dealing with gusty winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, looking pretty good. Quick check on our temperatures. We're cloudy, 39 in Joplin, feeling like 33 with an east-northeast breeze at 9. Chilly across the region, 35 Iola, 42 Miami, Neosho, and 39 in Carthage. As we get our day started, we're gusty winds, 20, 30 miles an hour, mostly cloudy, isolated showers by late morning. Will eventually make it into the lower 50s by later this morning. We'll take a full look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. The Joplin School District is making plans to test the safety of the drinking water in all of its school buildings. KOAM's Shagun Bombadeli has more.
This decision follows a statewide mandate signed into law by Governor Mike Parson last summer, which requires all public school districts to conduct lead testing and install filters if concentrations exceed a certain threshold.
All schools are required to test all drinking fountain outlets as well as any water outlets that could be used in cooking or cleaning dishes or anything that could possibly be ingested by students.
Plans for testing have begun.
But right now we're just all kind of inventorying and looking out there to see kind of what options we have available and from a price standpoint how much testing would cost to the district.
A local pediatrician is glad to see the testing, saying lead can be particularly hazardous for children's development.
Especially younger children are more likely to put things in their mouth, increasing their lead absorption. Lead can affect their development, it can affect their bones, it can affect their kidneys, and some of the effects of lead are long-standing.
Ardeen says the district is working on informing parents about the testing.
Our plan together is coming up with that plan to communicate with our families about what this looks like, what are the health risks and what the testing looks like. And then once we have the testing completed, then we are required to report out what those results were.
Reporting in Joplin, Shagbamdele, KOAM News.
Missouri Water Works provides water for the district and has not found any traces of lead in the newer buildings. To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, anglers in Missouri can now go fishing for trout. Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe stopped by Roaring River State Park near Cassville to kick off trout season. Roaring River State Park hosts a trout fishing opening day event. Has been doing so since 1928. It's such a big event in Cassville, they even canceled school for it.
I mean, I remember vividly, even as a kid. My dad and I were talking this morning. I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and I remember us parking right here and just fishing, trying to catch those 4 fish and getting the limit. And yeah, it's just forever. It's just been, like you said, another holiday.
Missouri State Parks say there were more than 1,600 tags for adults. For youth, more than 300. Well, the Joplin Post Art Library partners with the Joplin Public Library for its new community read program. Joplin Reads Together. It will include the reading of Shelby Van Pelt's Remarkably Bright Creatures. It'll also feature a community-based art exhibit titled Lost and Found, Remarkably Bright Objects. It features art created with found objects.
Well, you could have a couple different interpretations of what found art or found objects are. It could be something that you find when you're out walking along or you just randomly find somewhere, or it could be something that's an average everyday object that you turn into.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Good news for millions of diabetics as a major pharmaceutical company announces its plans to cap the cost of insulin.
And we've got alert days today and tomorrow ahead of some very heavy rainfall across the area. We'll take a look at your full forecast coming up.
In Consumer Watch this morning, good news for the tens of millions of Americans with diabetes. Eli Lilly plans to slash the cost of most of its commonly prescribed insulin by 70%, and it will also cap out-of-pocket cost at $35 a month for those with commercial insurance. It comes as the U.S.-based pharmaceutical company and other manufacturers face criticism over the affordability of the medication. President Biden praised Eli Lilly's move on Twitter as, quote, huge news. Well, the announcement on lowered insulin cost also came as more than 30 million Americans lost their extra food benefits through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly known as SNAP. The extra benefits starting early into the coronavirus pandemic and is estimated to have kept over 4 million Americans out of poverty. Families will now see their monthly benefits cut by at least $95 at a time when inflationary impacts on food prices remain a concern. KFC fans rejoice. The chicken chain is bringing back its Double Down sandwich for a limited time starting March 6th. The bunless sandwich, which consists of 2 fried chicken fillets with cheese, bacon, and sauce in between, was first released a decade ago. It's my kind of sandwich. KFC posted a Twitter poll yesterday with more than 50% of respondents voting yes with excitement for the return. All right. Well, as the U.S. economy continues to give mixed signals, more economists are describing this uncertain time as a rolling recession. But what does that really mean for consumers and business? Most importantly, your household. Karen Kafa explains.
Economic data has been on a seesaw. Positive indicators like a historically low unemployment rate countered by negative numbers like a 6-month housing sales slump.
It's hard to understand today's economy because there's so many mixed signals.
Economists have been using the term rolling recession more frequently. Sungwon Son, professor of finance and economics at Loyola Marymount University, says that means certain sectors seeing downturns at different times without the overall economy slumping.
We take turns going down, beginning with the housing, next consumers, and then businesses, and et cetera.
For example, the U.S. still saw economic growth in the final quarter of 2022, and year-over-year consumer price inflation eased last month. But housing prices and manufacturing have sunk, and there have been mass layoffs in the tech and media industries. Joanne Weiner of George Washington University says unevenness is normal for a large and diverse economy, especially coming out of a traumatic event like the COVID-19 pandemic.
Different areas will have different pressures on them over time.
As to whether a broad recession is ahead, Son says that may depend upon how consumers respond to the economic headlines.
How consumers behave in coming months and quarters, that is really the critical element of the economic outlook.
To prepare for any economic outcome, experts say households should pay down high-interest debt as the Federal Reserve uses interest rate hikes to tame inflation and streamline spending to build emergency savings in case of a layoff. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a rough night ahead of us for sure. Let's take a look real quick. Let's back this up to those flood watches for you real quick. So again, Lawrence, Berry, Newton, McDonald, Benton, and Delaware counties, they kick in this evening and they run until tomorrow at noon. We also have the possibility of a stray strong storm or two. There's a very isolated chance of a tornado well to our southeast. If we see any stronger storms, some small hail and gusty winds would be the primary threats. We're not overly concerned about severe weather, but there may be a strong storm or two along and south of I-44. What we are concerned with is that heavy rain. Everybody getting in on showers, thunderstorms, and rainfall, which we do need, but some of us in our southeastern counties are getting a little too much in too short a time. So if you live in those flood-prone areas, make sure you plan accordingly for your commute this evening and into tomorrow morning. And remember, turn around, don't drown, avoid those low water crossings. We'll start to see some scattered showers and thunderstorms as we head into the early afternoon, and then we'll get a brief break before the big event gets here and brings more widespread showers and storms. So let's take a look down the road. Here's a few of those scattered showers, a few scattered rumbles of thunder as we head into the early afternoon. In the break, we will warm up just a bit, and then you can see here come the main showers and thunderstorms across the area, really focused along and south of I-44. Some additional development taking place in southeast Kansas and out in southeast Kansas and parts of the northern counties in southwest Missouri. As temperatures cool, we could see a transition briefly to some light snow. We're not anticipating much in the way of accumulation, but just be aware it could cause a few slick spots out there because after those storms clear out, we're actually going to warm up decently tomorrow as well. Not as warm as we have been, but warm enough. We'll also have those gusty winds, 20 to 30 miles an hour through today, tonight, and into tomorrow morning before they eventually start to calm down. MoDOT camera, 20th in range line. We're looking good so far. Same from 7th in range line as the sun starts to peek up behind some clouds out there. 39 in Joplin, feeling like 33 with an east-northeast breeze at 9. Across the area, again, chilly start. 35 Iola, 39 Parsons, Chautauqua, Independence, 42 Miami, Neosho, 39 Carthage, Monette, and 37 in Lamar. As we get our day started, once again, we will be breezy, we'll be cool, we'll be mostly cloudy. Isolated showers building in by 11. We'll start to creep into the lower 50s. In the breaks between the scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, we're looking at highs eventually making it into the mid to upper 50s, and then the big storms get here tonight. More showers, thunderstorms, windy conditions as we head through the evening and overnight hours, and we'll eventually make it down to a low of 40. Looking ahead, so don't forget alert days today, tomorrow. Tomorrow, by the way, That's what I'm talking about. Up to 50 for the high. 61 Saturday, mostly clear skies. On Sunday, 66, partly cloudy. So this weekend is going to be absolutely gorgeous. We're up to 71 Monday, but we start to see some shower chances build in. Shower chances Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and temperatures on the decline down to 39 by next Friday, maybe a wintry mix. And then they'll start to turn around a bit as we head into next weekend with some additional shower chances by next Saturday. We're back with more right after this. Time for some Thursday birthdays in the 4 states, and we're going to begin with Kyler Mulheron, turning 7. Happy birthday, Kyler.
All right, and Chris Ferguson is celebrating Sweet 16. Hope it's a wonderful 16th birthday for you, Chris, in Moran, Kansas.
And down in Commerce, we've got Breely Tompkins celebrating number 17. Happy birthday.
Eleanora Ram is 17 as well. Happy birthday to Eleanora.
And Jeff Spillman celebrating number 18 in Moran. Happy birthday, Jeff.
Out in Sheldon, Missouri, Sarah Hancock turns 38 years old. Looking great there, Sarah.
And down south in Seneca, Matt Miller celebrating birthday number 41. It says happy birthday from Maddie, Emma, Chief, and Mom.
All right. Amy Shoemaker celebrating birthday number 44 this year in Pittsburgh. Happy birthday from Mom, Dad, all the kids at the Shoemaker Daycare.
And we've also got Clyde Pickle celebrating number 46 in Knoll with lots of love from the family.
Dana Dawn celebrating birthday number 57 this year. Dana is in Iola, Kansas.
And over in Jasper, we've got Sheila Harris celebrating number 66. Happy birthday.
Carl Thornton is turning another year wiser. 68 this year for Carl in Thayer, Kansas.
And Debbie Schoenhofer celebrating number 72 in St. Paul. Happy birthday, Debbie.
And Eunice Shrimplin is double eight, celebrating birthday number 88 this year in Chanute.
And Willa Dean Beaver celebrating 101 in Girard. I believe Willa is the young lady on the right.
Oh, yeah?
I would think so.
101.
Hey, Willa, you're looking great for 101.
Do you know your left and rights? Okay. No, she does look good for 101.
She's looking great,
Very
and
impressive.
I love the shirt, too. I just noticed that shirt. Excellent shirt.
I love
Happy
it.
birthday, Willa.
Yeah. All right, and our list goes on with Tim Smith in St. Paul. Happy birthday to you, Tim.
All right. Do you see how much fun we have celebrating these birthdays? Wouldn't you like to celebrate with us? You can. And Tanya Bach knows how you do it.
All you have to do is send us a birthday with your picture, the age, the date of the birthday. Please don't forget that. And the hometown, and if you have a special message, you can include that as well. And send it to our email, don't forget the S, at birthdays with an S at KOAMnewsnow.com.
Absolutely. And you know something else you can do at our website? It's sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You get some great deals from local businesses, and you get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. All you need to do is head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the Birthday Club today. All right, we're going to recap today's weather situation. Alert days today and tomorrow. Thunderstorms with some heavy rain and flood watches that kick in this evening through tomorrow morning. That's what this alert day is for our flooding concerns. And here's those watches. Delaware, Benton, McDonald, Newton, Berry, Lawrence counties, all under flood watches kicking in officially this evening and running until noon tomorrow. And that's because we're expecting some pretty hefty amounts of rain, especially along and south of I-44. We still have a low-end threat of a strong storm or two as well. And there's a very low isolated tornado risk well to our southeast, but it is there. Any strong storms we see, the biggest thing that they could do is maybe some small hail and some gusty winds. We're not overly concerned about any widespread severe weather, and we're not even really overly concerned about too many strong storms, but just be aware that there may be a couple of louder storms out there. And because of that, you saw where the strong storm risk was, right where those flood watches are, and that's where our heaviest amounts of rain is going to be as we head into tonight and tomorrow morning. We're going to see the possibility of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm across the regions. You can see where these kind of pick up late or early afternoon. Then they drop back off a bit before the main show starts to get here later this evening. That's where our heavier rain and thunderstorms are going to come in. So let's take a look at the timing on this. Here are those stray showers. Again, maybe a thunderstorm or two as we head into the early afternoon. We'll get a pause from the rain just long enough, even though we'll stay cloudy, that we're still going to warm up just a wee bit today. And then take a look off to our south. Here come the main showers and thunderstorms and those heavy rains right along and south of I-44 is where they're really going to be training. Additional development taking place in southeast Kansas, and as temperatures cool, we might even see a brief transition over to some light snow across parts of southeast Kansas and some of our northern counties in southwest Missouri. Not anticipating much in the way of snow accumulations, a dusting at best, but could still generate a few slick spots out there. But anything we get Friday morning will not last very long because we're going to warm up as we head into Friday afternoon as the clouds clear. We've also got to deal with this. Gusty winds 20 to 30 miles an hour as we go through the morning, into the afternoon, into tomorrow morning as this system, and you can see the spin with that low pressure as it kicks on out of here. Once it gets far enough away, our winds really start to calm down, as you can see, as we head into tomorrow evening. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. Every time we've come to this, there's been one lone car waiting there to make that left turn. I don't know what's going on at 20th and Rangeline, but there's always one person waiting. We're 39 in Joplin. We got mostly clear skies. Feels like 33 with an east-northeast breeze at 9. Across the region, chilly. 35 Iola, 39 Chatopa, 42 Miami, Neosho, and 39 in Carthage. Again, as we go through this morning, mostly cloudy, breezy, cool, up to 52 by 11. We'll see those scattered showers and thunderstorms through the early afternoon. Be mostly cloudy and breezy otherwise. Highs in the mid to upper 50s. As we go into tonight, more showers and thunderstorms, heavy amounts of rainfall, gusty winds down to 40 for our overnight low. Take a look at this upcoming weekend, though. It's going to be quite nice. 61 Saturday, 66 Sunday, mostly clear to partly cloudy skies. 71 Monday, showers start building in, and as they do, our temperatures begin to drop as well. Got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. But first, when we switch over to Fox 14, Yana Hatula takes us to Caney, Kansas, where the citizens have put their history on protected display, in part thanks to the efforts of some Eagle Scouts. That's coming up on Fox 14 at 7. We'll be right back.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Northern California, Sierra Nevada is struggling to dig out after 12 feet of snow fell in the past week, up to 2 more feet in this weekend's forecast. Down in the mountains east of Los Angeles, some residents of Lake Arrowhead are trapped in their homes, and there's a state of emergency as supplies run low. 40-year-old Mark Muffley will be in federal court today after he was arrested for allegedly checking a bag full of explosives at a Pennsylvania airport. The flight was bound for Florida. According to court documents, an alert went off during a security screening, and the TSA found explosive material. Authorities say a bag tag with the suspect's name on it helped investigators track him down. Alex Murdaugh's defense attorneys will deliver their closing arguments today as his double murder trial wraps up. Prosecutors delivered their closing arguments yesterday. They allege the once prominent South Carolina lawyer killed his wife and son. The case will soon be in the hands of the jury. Murdaugh faces up to life in prison. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, got alert days today and tomorrow. We've got flash flood watches out there. We're watching heavy rain concerns along and south of I-44. Scattered showers and thunderstorms early this afternoon into the mid to upper 50s for highs. As we head into this evening, more widespread showers, thunderstorms, breezy conditions, heavy rainfall down to 40 for our low. We will dry out, though, heading into tomorrow, though, which is nice as we get into the weekend into the 60s under partly cloudy, mostly clear skies.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making anytime potatoes in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Former Reading Rainbow host LeVar Burton joins filmmaker Jenny McKenzie to discuss their new documentary, The Right to Read, which looks at the country's literacy crisis. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, in honor of SpongeBob, the musical Chef Anthony takes a trip to a pineapple under the sea to bring us back a variation on crab cakes.
So make sure you tune in for that, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
All right, and we'll do it again today at noon.